See you later.
Regular meeting,
Hey, John, I'd really vote for
Board of Finance, Monday, September 29,
rest.
5-something PM,
Oh, my God.
5:10, we'll call it. All right. Come to order, ask the clerk, see if we have a quorum,
Yes, we do.
okay? First order is public comments relative to agenda items. Any public comments before we move on? Any public on the phone? Hearing none, seeing none, we'll move on. Item number 3. Independent consumer advocate comments.
I have none, thank you.
Yes, just state your name, please, and start when you want.
Elizabeth Tavelli. I don't have any comments at this time, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have item number 4, approval of the minutes from the previous meeting of July 28. We need a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, buddy. And a second.
Second.
All right, all in favor of approval of the minutes, please say aye.
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 Any opposition? Any abstentions? Very good. Number 5, consideration and potential action of the state. I just got this, so
DWSRF.
yes. So we have to take action, I guess.
Yes.
On number 5. Anybody want to move that issue forward for discussion?
For discussion, move forward for discussion.
Thank you. Who will present that from the staff side?
Yeah.
Please.
Sure, this is item number 5. I believe it was just housekeeping in order to get the appropriation. It was an amendment in order to get it to match what the appropriation should be. And that's going to be similar for all 3 items on number 6 as well.
Okay, very good. So number 5, we don't have to do anything at the moment, just number 6?
Nope, no, 5 needs to be approved.
5
also.
needs to be approved. Okay. And we did have a motion to move the issue, the item forward. And a second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All in favor of item number 5, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, unanimous. Number 6. So 6 has 3 parts. You want to take each one by itself with an
Sure.
approval or the package?
More as the package. These were all housekeeping. When we were going through the official statement, we found out that the authorizations didn't have the delegate resolutions required with them. They had been set up originally on the budget, and then there were amendments after that. And these, all 3, were to true it up so that so the appropriation matched what we can what we can get reimbursement from the state. So.
Okay.
Do them all at once, John.
Yeah,
Move approval of those 6A, B, and C. Second.
second, thank you. All in favor of item number 6, A, B, and C, all 3? Say aye.
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 Any opposition? Hearing none? Unanimous. Number 7, overview of the district budget.
That'll be me. That'll be me as well. I was wondering if my group can come and sit up at the table. It'll be
Sure, sure.
easiest for us
Yeah.
to present.
Whatever you need. It's a little baseball team.
Yeah, thank you. John Perugini, CFO. I'm here to go over, I brought my staff here. I have just wanted to do brief introductions. John Perugini, CFO. To my right is
Bob Webb with USI Consulting Group, consult on the retired medical plan.
Frederica Daniels, I'm the actuary for the pension plan.
Sharice Rogers, the Assistant Manager of Budget and Analysis.
Kim Cummings, Budget Analyst.
And Kelly Shane, Chief Administrative Officer.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll start off on the first slide, and I'll just give notes on each piece of it. So today is the first one with the kickoff on 2026, the budget, and the proposing it to the Board of Finance. I have the next slide.
Jonathan, if I may, I would just like to clarify, in terms of the budget process, typically we don't have as much detail as we have this year. So I think there's a lot of credit to everyone who's here, with Kelly and Jonathan and Sharice really pushing through to actually get numbers. Usually we're talking about drivers and what's going to be driving the budget this year. We actually have a proposed budget. Now, there's a lot of things that can change between now and December 31st. So, but this is what we are proposing, and there's a lot of conversations we need to have with Board of Finance, PPI, and the full board. But great job for doing what you got done.
Thank you. On slide 2 is the agenda. These are the items we're going to go over: budget calendar, sewer ad valorem, water rate overview, expenditure analysis, and as we start through that, we'll have one piece that's for the USI actuaries. It's a very brief slide that's a handout. If anyone needs it, we have it over here and we can hand it out. Then the next one is revenue analysis, proposed budget, and the summary. What am I going to? Yeah. Thank you. Who's ever fixing it for me? Thank you. Thank you. The next one's the budget calendar. So first step is where we are today. Board of Finance meeting to discuss the 26 proposed budget. Tomorrow is a town meeting for the member of municipalities. Then on the 6th, the district board refers it to the budget to the Board of Finance. The 20th, Board of Finance meeting. 21st, town meeting 2. Next one, November, is the public hearing to set the budget, or for the budget rates and ordinance revisions. November 17th, Water Bureau, Board of Finance to consider the 26 water rates and refer to the district board. Next is the Bureau of Public Works to consider the 26 sewer rates and then refer. Next one's December, the Government Committee to consider and approve ordinance revisions and refer to the board. And then on the 8th is the District Board adopts the 26 proposed budget, and then we publish it and the ordinance. So this is the start of the 3-month process, and tonight's the first step. Yeah. Oh, go back one. There we go. Right there. Ad valorem water rate overview. Just want to show the steps that we started with for sewer ad valorem and the water rate calculations. Step 1 is to identify the operating expenses, which we refer to as OPEX. Next is to subtract other revenues for that. And then step 3 is allocate remainder using the town revenue 3-year weighted average and sewer ad valorem tax and computation and or consumption and sewer charges to water rate determination. Next part, ad valorem water rate overview. the proposed 26 budget operating budget is 241.3 million. That's 6.4% increase. Then we take the sewer OpEx minus the other revenues to show that the ad valorem is proposed to stay the same on the sewer side, so a 0% increase. Next, on the water side, 126.8 million for operating expenses, the other revenue of 28.5, and that leads to 98.3 million to be collected from water sales. So that's roughly a 1.5% increase. And as mentioned before, water consumption remains unchanged, as Scott had mentioned, 18.3 CCFs. And the water rate is proposed to be at 3.910%, no increase. And the last piece is water service charges are looking to be increased as the offset to balance. And so we'll get more into that slide later on, so just wanted to share that. Next one is the expenditure analysis. This is a slide of the summary of expenses rolled up into categories. It provides further detail from the last slide showing what makes up the 6.4% increase from the 25 adopted budget to the 26 proposed budget. In the next few slides, we'll dive more into each category. Debt service makes up the main driver on this one. It's net increase due to the 2025 GO bond issue, as we had seen a few meetings before, the authorization for 100 million in GO bonds for water, sewer, and combined. And so that's what's driving that's what's driving the debt service side. There's an increase of 5.1 million in the water service debt, an increase of 2.8 million in the sewer service debt, or sewer debt service, and the debt service costs as a percentage of the budget remained virtually flat. So.
And I know Commissioner Drake and Commissioner somebody else asked the question about the debt service percentage in terms of presentation. We owe that to the full board. We're just not there yet.
Yep. We're looking to have that.
And we're ready. We will be ready the next meeting to have that conversation. But we'll have a full presentation on that as well.
Mm-hmm. And so so that was the main one, because we issued the 100 million of general obligation bonds on September 4th. So they'll be due, start paying for next calendar year. Other miscellaneous expenditures, I just wanted to take 3 primary expenditure cost drivers for 4.9 million. They were general operations, 1.95 million, electricity utilities, 1.48 million, and software as a service, 1.14 million. So just to give some context, with general obligations, the big one on that was a budgeted increase of 1.1 million in sludge removal. The electricity increase of around the 1.4 was related to bringing the tunnel project online, and the last part with software as a service, 655,000 related to software as a service moving to OpEx. So examples of that is Temetra, Procure, GIS licensing, soil flow, and Microsoft 365, as well as various cloud services. So once these projects are, as projects are started, they go to CapEx budget, but once they're finalized and implemented, they become an operating expense and ultimately show up on the operating budget. So that's what we're seeing here. Next one with payroll. Payroll operating year over year. In regards to the OpEx staffing level, it stays the same from the 2025 adopted to the 2026. The CapEx staffing level increased by 19 from the 2025 adopted to the 2026 proposed. So that's the main part of that, the salary of 10 positions on it, even though they're shifting back and forth between the two.
It just, Jonathan,
Sure.
if I may, so as we know, we started in the middle of the year with changing the projects associated with the consent order for North Hartford. And again, I've said we went from $47 million a year to $47 million over a 10-year period to 170. We changed the consent order in 3 months. And in order to achieve that goal, everyone here and people not here worked really hard to achieve that. But we can't sustain that. So that's why these 19 positions are necessary to continue on with not just the clean water project, but remember, we offered new sewer laterals to everyone in the district. So 90 some odd thousand homes will get a free lateral. So we need to upgrade the staffing levels to achieve these goals.
Thank you, Scott. And this is part of the MDC's policy to right-size staffing on it in order to, based on the projects as he was mentioning, are increasing. That's why the capital expense salary is increasing. Employee benefits. For this one, net effect of employee benefits budget from 25 to 26 in the OpEx budget was $738,065. And this was factoring the insurance renewal rate for Anthem, consultant claims projections for active employees, historic trends, and rolling 12-month data. Claims for active employees are expected to increase 8% on the medical side and 0% on the dental. And with that, I'll just take a brief moment to hand it over to Freddie, who's going to talk about the pension, and then Bob will talk about the OPEB piece on it.
Great, thank you. I believe everyone received a copy of the handout. There's a grid on the page, and there's a red line across the middle, and the red line highlights some of the changes from last year. So I'll try to be as brief as possible, but I'll mention 3 things. I'd like to talk to you in general about the pension contribution, the funded ratio of your plan, and then a comment about some assumptions. The news on the contribution side is that the level for the plan sponsor as MDC went up from 9.8 million to about 10.4 million. It's a little bit over a 5% increase. Built into the plan and the methods that have been in the plan for a while, we do expect on a cash dollar amount that the amount of the contribution each year will increase about 3.5%. That's built into the amortization of the plan, meaning past liabilities that are not yet 100% funded. You have built in a payroll growth rate of about 3.5%. And then if there's any small gains or losses, those are also amortized. A handful of years ago, the amortization period was reset, and at this point, we're down to 14 years. So as gains and losses arise, we're currently in a period where they're amortized over 14 years. And the impact of this year's changes, there was about a 1% loss in liability. There was a little bit of some salary increases higher than expected, some early retirements, offset by some mortality gains, but net change was about the 5% increase in the contribution level. But that was as expected based on last year's projections. Now, to talk about the funded ratio of the plan is still seeing great increases. What I call a short-term solvency is when you take a mark-to-market benchmark and you look at the market assets of the plan and you look at the liabilities and you compare the two. Last year, the funded ratio was about 81%. We saw a huge jump to 86% this year, and that's tremendous. That's great to see this positive growth. A lot of that is directly related to the large increase in investments. Obviously, 2024 saw a very lucrative return. There was 13.25% return on the investments with a target rate of 6.625%, so a great return. But just like in these positive years, we have seen a few years in the last decade or so, even though we're in this bull market, where there could be some negative returns. So the plan does employ what we call an asset averaging technique, and it basically means we smooth out gains and losses over a 5-year period. So we hope to achieve the 6.625% on a smooth basis, and we also did that last year. So even with some losses from just 3 years ago, and then another 2 or 3 recent years of very large positive returns, we're netting out equal, and we hit a 6.9% return this year on a smooth market value. So that is very helpful to keep contribution levels pretty stagnant. And a way to prove that is you'll see that the long-term funded ratio, which is more of a solvency funded ratio, we were about 77% last year and about 78% this year. So we're making monumental, small increases, but monumental for the plan on a market basis. So it's great to see that we're moving in the positive direction. But we do have that cushion obviously built in there. So if you have 1 or 2 years, unfortunately, if the market doesn't work out for anyone, we have that smoothing technique. And that leads me just to talk about assumptions. One of the leading assumptions that drive the cost of your plan, or at least the annual cost of the plan, is this expected return. And the expected return on investments, that rate is also the same rate we use to discount benefits and the liabilities, the present value today of everyone's promised benefit. That rate right now is 6.625%. And that's held constant for the last few years. Now, coming out of 22, I know there was a lot of talk about potentially lowering that expected return, but we also suggest don't jump around just because there was a 1-year change in market. So we've been following very closely the capital market assumptions, like the outlook for the investment returns. Not only do we work with the plan's investment advisor, so you have an independent advisor that looks at the plan assets, but as the actuary, we use other publicly available capital market assumptions. And there's a Horizon study that's published every summer, so it was just released about a month ago, and it takes into account different returns from about 40 different investment advisors nationwide. So it's a great source of information, and we pull out the outliers and we still use a firm base to determine what are other investment advisors looking at for capital market assumptions. So when we look at the plan and the pension assets in this plan, we look at the investment mix, and then we project out over about 20-year horizon, we are still seeing average capital market assumptions in excess of that 6.625%. So when you look at the plan's returns, capital market assumptions, the investment advisory, and recent returns, all of this information together helps support our recommendation to keep your expected return the same. We did provide you some analysis in this chart. So I'll finish up with the comment, if you were to change the investment return and we looked at maybe moving 1/8 of a point, just for sensitivity purposes, you'll notice in this chart, the first column, we show last year's valuation results. In the middle chart, line 7, that's that red line item, you'll notice how the contribution went from 9.8 to 10.4. That's the 5% or 550,000 increase I just spoke about. If you were to keep everything else the same, but only change this year your expected return and lower it, that 1/8 of a point, we would actually expect to see the contribution jump another 525,000, where it could have been a recommended increase of over $1 million from last year. So it's something that's very sensitive, it's very important, it's probably the most important assumption that's driving cost. So we like to look at this each year and provide you with some sensitivity analysis, just so you have an idea of what that might look like. But after the research and the supporting information and the backing by your investment advisor for the plan, we don't see a need to make a change and decrease that expected return this year. So again, we'll continue to look at this annually. The Horizon study comes out every August, which is just perfect timing, right, before we usually meet with you in the fall. So we'll continue to take a look at that each year and work with your investment advisor on the plan to make sure that each year that we are valuing and reanalyzing expected returns. But with that, I can answer any questions in a moment, but I just wanted to leave you with one more comment. There's one other assumption, and it's the mortality tables. We're not making a change this year, but we will likely make a recommendation for a change next year. About every 5 years, the Society of Actuaries, they have a committee that studies the mortality experience. And every 5 years, they produce a new table, especially related to public pension plans. And there was a new one that was just released a few months ago. And you will see, and I find that most public pension plans similar to your size and makeup are having recommendations, especially with the auditor's approval and recommendation, to update that next year. And the new mortality table is taking into consideration the mortality study over the last decade up through 2019. And it purposely did not consider mortality from 2020 through 2024, given COVID. So right now they're carving that out. But the last decade of changes is an update from the last prior decade. So we will see those anticipated changes incorporated into next year. I'll run the numbers and do the analysis for your plan, and we'll see what those numbers look like. I anticipate we might see a slight increase in liabilities, probably within the ballpark of about 1%. And that might translate to a few $100,000 increase in the contribution level. But we'll see what your population looks like, and we will do the study based on the different groups and the divisions and the ages and the benefits, et cetera. And once we do the analysis, we'll report back next year to the committee. But I just wanted to leave you with that thought that every year we definitely look at the discount rate and the investment returns, but mortality is something we probably only look at once every 5 years. And we're here, we're at that point again. So next year we'll talk a little bit more about that. But with that, that concludes, hopefully that was enough detail for you. I'll give you some background on the pension plan, but if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you,
Mr. Rattle.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, when you're calculating these mortalities for employees, are you calculating for the spouses as well?
Yes, we look at participants and the beneficiaries and the projection of future rates. But honestly, we're looking at the rates from a larger study. So while we're analyzing your population, while the plan is large, it's what the Society of Actuaries, they don't quite consider it just this one plan as credible enough experience. So you're looking at, tens of millions of lives in the experience, and they produce these public plan tables, but then we match up your population to those tables and then see what the impact is for your
Very
liabilities.
good, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Curry.
Well, I absolutely agree with your proposal not to raise the discount rate, but not knowing what your recommendation will be for the following year, and knowing that we're going to be looking at and hopefully proving a new mortality rate, we may get hit twice if we should decide we need to lower the discount rate. So what is the disadvantage of doing the mortality rate this year?
This year, you would see a similar type of increase. So we already saw coming out of last year about a 5% increase in the contribution. And to your point, you may see an increase, but you also may see a decrease next year. It is possible in the contribution level if the experience leads to a gain. This year, as I noted, there's already the built-in 3.5% increase from the payroll growth rate. And there was a very minimal 1% liability loss. But next year, if we're seeing other changes in investments and you have gains, and we're incorporating those gains into the plan, you could see a decrease, and that could also help you offset any anticipated increase due to mortality changes. So I really do think it's in the eyes of who's analyzing this. I don't say there's a disadvantage of incorporating it now, other than you would see that double cost this year. If you wait till next year, you may still see the increase, but you have an opportunity possibly for any offsets of other gains to make a neutral impact.
Thank you.
Very good. Other questions? Okay.
Well, I'll just briefly talk about the OPEB, or Retiree Medical Plan. Many of the issues that Freddie just discussed with respect to the discount rate and the investment return, the mortality basis, all of that applies to both plans, the pension and the Retiree Medical Plans. And they typically would have similar impact. So, but for the OPEB plan, we do evaluation once every 2 years. The last val we did was 1/1/2024. From that valuation, we developed your contribution requirements for fiscal year ending 2025 and the coming fiscal year ending 2026. So there's a little bit of lag. You get a little heads up between when we do the calculations and when they actually apply to your fiscal years. So we are scheduled to do a new valuation 1/1/26. At that point, we'll be collecting all new census information, the plan's healthcare costs, and we'll also be looking at these other assumptions that Freddie mentioned. That valuation we typically will try to get out by the middle of the year. And again, that valuation will be giving you the contribution recommendations for the fiscal year 2027 and 2028. So again, there's a good amount of lead time to take that and digest it and get it into your budget. We did a flip side on Freddie's exhibit, the OPEB's on the other side. Probably the big difference between the two plans is the funding status. The OPEB plan is much has a much lower funding ratio than the pension plan. That probably reflects the fact that a lot of plans, OPEB plans, are not funded, and many of them got a late start in funding. And I believe the contributions that we get on the actual determined contribution, not very far off from the benefit payments that are being made. So basically, you're funding almost, maybe just a little bit more than what's going out in the cash flow. So far, that's not building up a big asset base for you. But that's just where you are at this point in time. So it doesn't mean that you're not funding appropriately. You are following the accounting rules of an actual determined contribution. And for many of us, the reason we recommend the funding is that if you use the funding, if you do fund at your actual determined contribution, which you are, then you can use the investment return rate as your discount rate, which gives you a better discounting on the future payouts, reduces your obligations and liabilities. Otherwise, we end up using a bond rate that is very much lower than the 6 3/8 or 5/8. So.
Could you do me a favor? Speak a little more slowly and also a little louder,
I'll try.
because I couldn't pick up all of what you just said. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I have the same issue. So is this the microphone?
Yes.
Yeah.
It doesn't move though.
Doesn't move. Yeah.
Well, is there a particular part that you missed that I?
The end. I was following and then trailed off for me.
On this exhibit? What I was
The bond rate.
basically mentioning on the exhibit,
The bond rate.
oh, well,
Utilizing the bond
when
rate.
I got to the bond rate, well, I was basically explaining that a lot of these retired medical plans are not being funded, and they're not required by law to be funded. They're not required by the accounting profession to fund them.
Right.
There are reasons to fund them, obviously for cash management purposes. And you may, to the extent that what you put into the plan gets taken into account when you file for ratings or whatnot. But what I was just pointing out that because most of these plans got a late start in getting the funding of them, you see that your funded status is quite a bit lower than what you see on your pension side. It'll just take time for it to catch up. But right now, what you're paying into the plan is slightly higher than what's going out of the trust in the way of benefit payments. So it's not building up a big trust value yet.
Thank you. Further questions,
Any other
commissioners? Do we have people on the phone? We do, okay. Just-
Chairman, I have one.
Yes,
Just a
please.
quick question. Why then, based on your statements, are we reducing our contribution by 1%?
I'm sorry.
Why are we reducing our contribution by 1%?
Why were you
No PEB.
reducing it?
The experience.
Yeah, $75,000.
I'm not sure we're looking at the same thing. The contribution for,
Oh, on the budget side, on the next slide you're referring to? That's for the shifting of positions from the OpEx to the CapEx. So the funding piece on it will drop on the OpEx side, but increase on the CapEx budget. So that's why you're seeing the 76.
Thank you.
So the ADEC payment is on this sheet that was shared by USI. And for OPEB, you'll see the actuarial determined contribution. The current year was 9.4 million. Next year, or for 26, it's 9.7 million. It's an increase of $310,000.
Thank you.
MDC will be paying it, it's just shifting between the capital budget versus the operating. That's why you're seeing that with the 76. Okay. Next slide on it. So insurance, general liability, casual workers' comp. As mentioned in the PPI committee meeting on September 22nd, September 22nd, our insurance agent has gotten the insurance companies to limit MDC's overall 26 premium not to exceed 7 million. Or 7% of the 25 premium. Just a side note on that subject matter, it was originally at 13 off their original projections, and then they sharpened their pencils and got the insurance companies to bring it down to 10, and the last one we saw is now it's at 7, not to exceed 7. So I just wanted to share with the board, there has been discussions over and over again to try to reduce it, and they're going to keep reducing it, but not to exceed 7%. The next part with the pension and OPEB, as just mentioned from USI, the discount rate's staying the same. The ADAC increased on the pension side of $550, as mentioned in the slides, and then the OPEB one increased by 300, a little over 300,000. And the only reason you're seeing the change on it is more shifting from we use the employees as a percentage, the salaries. And so you're seeing it shift from OPEX to CAPEX, but in total, the additional ADAC cost is being funded. Last part is contingency on this slide. The Army Corps reconciliation should be done by 2025, by the end of the year. So no budget proposed on 26. MDC's been in constant communications with the Army Corps, and as long as nothing long-term happens with the possible shutdown, we should be able to reconcile by 2020.
If I may, Mr.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
So we have met with the Army Corps. Chris Stone's been working on the legal side. We've been working on the administrative side, the finance side. We met with everyone, financial side, legal side, engineering side with the Army Corps last week or 2 weeks ago now. And we're all in agreement that the process is working. We are just finalizing. There's a discrepancy between our records and the financial entity that represents the Army Corps, about $60,000 plus or minus. But it's a minuscule issue that will get resolved. Once we get that issue resolved, we'll be able to finalize the agreement. We will need to pay the Army Corps for what we agree we owe them, which is about $1.6 million. They've already taken roughly half of that from our water customers that they've been, whatever agency that is that pulls money from you for not paying your federal bills. And so we have to make up the difference, which we will do that. But we will need to, as part of the agreement, we do have to remove the crane and the tower, a platform, which will have another little agreement that will finalize the details, the timing, and all those good things. And that'll be something that's done not today, but it'll be done over the next year or so. And that is a project that will have to be designed and all that good stuff. So, but that'll all be rolled into the agreement so that's everybody agrees on when and how that's going to happen. But we're in good shape with finalizing this agreement with the Army Corps, and you know, it's been a long time coming. So we're very happy to be where we are.
Mr. Chair, on that.
Commissioner Rattle.
On that, Scott, how much had we put aside over all these years that we hadn't really paid them?
Yeah, so as you know, the board directed us to put aside the whole amount, which was about $800,000, which we did. And so the answer is there's no impact to the budget. That's why we carry $800,000 here and a credit here. It's a wash. The end result is there will be, it's an accounting nightmare, but there's no impact to the MDC in terms of, we budgeted for it, the money's there, we're good.
They've taken the difference already.
Yes, they've taken the difference already, so we owe them a roughly $800,000. We'll pay them out of water, and we'll be in good shape.
And that's accumulated over many years.
Right.
Yes, many years, since really 2016.
16.
Commissioner Gale?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I apologize, but I'm very confused. I have your budget in front of me, and it's showing an increase. For instance, on pension of 101,000, and you've got that in your, in the slide that's up there, right there, 101, and that same 101 apparently added to the OPEB and the health gets reflected on this detailed statement that I have as well. But then we've got the analysis that says that the actual amount that we're increasing, our pension contribution, if I'm reading this correctly, is 550,000? Okay, so explain the difference between 101,000 and 550. Where's the other $450,000 coming from?
You have the backup for it?
Do you want to just
Sure.
explain it overall? It's more along the lines of we slice and dice the budget in different ways. So the overall ADEC payment that we make to the pension and to the OPEB is an overall payment, but our employees are in, some of them are in the capital budget and some of them are in the operating budget. Because you're looking at the operating budget here, those that are, that the employee expenses are being paid for, that are being paid out of capital dollars. So our capital projects that we assign some of our staff to, that are charging our capital projects, those people, that's where their OPEB expense, that's where we allocate some of those costs to those OPEB expenses for those employees. So while we shifted, I think in a previous slide, we shifted some staff to capital projects, they're not showing in our operating budget because this is operating dollars.
So the combination of the two, Commissioner, through you, the combination of the two, our capital employees are paid their pension, all of their benefits are paid for as part of the capital. That's the way it's
Do we
always
have
been.
that budget here?
Do you have the capital budget here?
So it's always part of, no, we don't
No, you
have
don't,
the
but it will-
26 capital budget, but when
Will we have that?
when you approve the capital budget, yes, we have, if you'll remember, we have labor for capital, for the integrated plan. We have a labor budget. We have a labor budget for water.
I guess my question is,
Yes.
will we have a
Yes, you
similar
will.
presentation at some point where we will see a line-by-line explanation of the capital budget?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the number here, the 10.39 million for the pension contribution, not all of that is reflected in this budget here. This budget seems to have for employee benefits a total of $30,194,000, if I'm reading that correctly.
Employee benefits has 30 million?
Well, you tell me. I'm looking at this.
$30,194,000, yes, correct.
Right, 30 million?
Yep.
And of that 30 million, this 10.3 is not, that's not wholly represented in there.
Right, a portion of that 10.3
A portion of that is represented here, and a portion of it's going to be in the capital budget.
Correct.
Is there a breakdown that tells me how much of this is in
We
that
can
30
do
million?
that for you. We can certainly do that. We can show you the portion of the ADEC payment that goes to the capital, right?
Yeah.
Correct? We can do
It might-
that.
I
can
don't
do
know if
that.
it's helpful or not, but because I asked the question, I might as well ask to see the breakdown.
Sure.
If you can show how much OPEB goes into that 30 million, how much of
We
this
can.
Yeah.
goes into
We
that 30
can.
million?
We can do it by number of employees. We absolutely can.
If I may, I just want to clarify, just remember, this is our first meeting,
Yeah.
right? So we don't even have the CIP budget.
Correct.
We've been focused on the operational piece, but we will have this. It's our first meeting. We have so much more to do. But to your point, Commissioner, you will have a complete breakdown. It will all match up so that what's funded by the operational budget and what's funded by the CIP budget. And remember, we have, as we said, we're gonna have a CIP budget. We always have a CIP budget, but you also have as part of that, the integrated plan budget. And now we're gonna have an additional budget, which is called our accessible sewer project budget. So you're gonna have 3 budgets related to capital investment projects this coming year.
Thank you for that, and this is really the first time that I've delved into any of this, so I apologize.
No,
for
it's okay.
Not necessarily having been up to speed on these things. One question on this whole capital budget. Am I correct then that the capital budget is funded by our capital, our bonds?
Debt service, yes. So you have 3 debt service, well, actually now you're gonna have 4. You have the water.
We are bonding for employee salaries. We are
Correct.
bonding for employee benefits.
That work on the specific, yes, so you have debt service for water, debt service for sewer, Avalorum, debt service for the Clean Water Project, the integrated plan, and now you're gonna have debt service specifically for the accessible sewer projects. You have 4 debt service. So anyone who works, so here's the point. Anyone who works on an accessible sewer project or works on a integrated planning project, they should never be charged to the debt service for Avalorum or water, because they're not working on Avalorum, town projects. They're not working on the water project. So we're very clear on who's working on what project and making sure that their time, we have always charged, the state of Connecticut does the same thing, DOT, Public Works, DAS. They capitalize the staff that's working. All of our contractors, our police, everybody that works on a capital project is capitalized. The police department for every town, the engineers, the contractors, it's all capitalized.
Thank you.
Can I just add one thing? First, if we don't have any more questions for USI, we'd like to allow them to take off. Unless we have any
You're not enjoying your night here? You want to leave?
That's some.
It's up to the chairman.
Yeah, it's, to Commissioner Gale's points, well taken.
I think
That-
that's,
It's,
Do you want to let the consultants leave for the pension and the OPEB? Are you ready to let them leave? Or?
sure. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Franny.
Say your name and your position, because otherwise it gets so confused. Who's speaking for what and so forth. So please, thank you.
Thank you, and I'm Frederica Daniels, the pension actuary working from USI, and this is Bob Webb, the OPEB actuary from USI, and thank you for dismissing us, and we'll leave you to the rest of your budget.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry about that.
It's been very interesting, though.
Welcome to stay.
Welcome to stay.
Not that interesting. Well, it's,
And if I may, and I just apologize to PPI, so we had this conversation. Traditionally, we bring this group into PPI every year, but this group could not make the PPI meeting because of conflicts.
Yeah.
So we wanted to have it here at Board of Finance. We're also proposing to bring them into the full board meeting, if that's acceptable, and bring them back to the next PPI meeting, but they just could not make the next scheduled PPI meeting, so.
and it's also the case, just to clarify for myself, these folks who just left are with an organization who, which was not represented prior to this. This is a new
company that we
Yeah, well,
hired last year.
no, they've been our actuary for now. Is this the 3rd year that USI's been
Oh,
our
wow.
actuary? Becky Seelman has not been our actuary for, I think this is the 3rd year, if
Third?
I'm not mistaken. It could be the second.
Second, I think it's the
Yeah,
second.
okay.
Yeah.
I did, that was part of the confusion. But the other thing, and I'll address Kelly or John, when we get these documents, most of which are pretty clear, but as you go through, sometimes the staff, which already knows the ins and outs, upside down and backwards, what these numbers are, you go through them so quickly, and those of us who just got this document are trying like hell to get, which column am I in? And so I think Commissioner Gale was having the same problem as I was having.
No, he's just confused.
I tried to cover for you, John. But it would just be a lot easier and probably save a little time if you could be a little more careful and clear about you're calling out a number, and all of a sudden there's a number, it's not on the page I'm looking at, now I got to find it.
Okay.
So just for that, and don't take it personally. Not meant that way.
I won't. Thank you.
Okay. So proceed. I think we're on step 2, unless we have another, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to echo what you said. That helps a lot for me just to gather what's going on and also knowing what page we're on. We're mentioning numbers that are obviously in the tens of millions of dollars, so.
Okay.
I do want to say, and I apologize for this, but unfortunately, we're trying to provide too much information too soon because this is our first meeting and staff is working like, all weekend long trying to get these things together. And we really could come here with just some highlights and say, here's where we are and here's what we think we're going to do. But we're trying to give you as much information as possible that we know today because there's a lot of positive news on this. But we appreciate your concerns, and believe me, we got a long process to go. We got till December 31st for you to approve the budget. So we will definitely provide you with everything that you need.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we've never had a problem before. But it is the case where it's all of a sudden, it's dumped, and we've got to sift through it. It's not easy for me. But anyway.
No, it's not.
So if the staff wants to go through step 2, which I think that's where we are. Unless we're not done with step 1.
You are correct.
Okay.
Let me speed through. Step 2, revenue analysis. This is page 13 on the bottom right corner of your slide, or what's it, 12 on that one?
Yep.
Sorry, mine's 13 because I wrote notes on mine. Note 12. Revenue analysis.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Yep. On this one, this is a slide of the summary of the revenues rolled up into categories. It provides further detail from the last slide showing what makes up the 6.4 change from the 25 adopted budget to the 26 proposed. The next few slides will dive into more detail on each category on it. So I just wanted to show, here's the overview of total part of water and sewer operations on the revenues for how we get our figures. And then we take it one piece at a time. So it's the water revenue in the last slide was the $7,081,000. So you'd see that on the, with 12 under the change column, the summation is the $7,081,884. And then the next one after we do water, we'll go through what makes up the sewer piece, which is also in that column of the $7,479,550. So first is water, onto page 13. And so the breakout on here with the 7 million, we're taking the operating revenues, and that increased 3,790,386, and of that, there's a proposed customer service charge increase by 75 cents, hydrant maintenance rate increase from 165 to 170, and fire protection service fees will be increasing.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could just sort of interrupt right there.
Please.
The 3.7 million figure that you're showing us doesn't correlate to any figure in the prior table.
It's the.
I'm sure it's there,
It's a-
but,
Well, it's not. It's so if you look at.
I mean, you're gonna add up to
Big
7
picture.
million. I see that, and I see it on both pages.
Yeah.
But the numbers that add up to 7 million on one page,
I got you. It didn't easily flow from the
Yeah.
first one. to
no.
the
So if you could just map those
second. Okay.
a little better, would be helpful to me anyway.
It's almost like these are the drivers. So without getting into the specific line by line, they're trying to give you the big picture drivers of what the 7 million is compromised.
Well, I get it, but page one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items that are listed.
Yep,
And each one of them has a change either up or down.
yep,
So you could have those same 8 on the next page
yep.
and show how each one of those 8 goes up and each one of those 8 goes down. Instead, there's somehow some grouping
We're
that we don't
grouping
know of.
pieces of them on a portion of it. Okay. We will update that and fix it on it. I apologize for that.
All right, sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
Any other question?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Not so much a question with the numbers, but, for example, Jonathan, on page 12 under other sewer revenues, but actually it's everywhere, but it appears like there should be a column between the 25 adopted and the 26 proposed saying 25, in this case, revenue, or receive, whatever you want to call it,
What the actual.
with, you know, if we're at 80% of the year, with 80%, so it should justify your increase of a 33% if our revenues are being driven that would generate such a proposed increase.
Okay.
But we don't know that. We just have number 13 to 18, and we don't know why.
Okay.
Is that possible to add a column of
We could for the next round. I can update.
Yeah, no, that's
these
fine.
For, we'll update the 12 flowing into 13 and update the slides so that it's easier to follow from,
just so there's some logic, rationale on why
yeah.
we have such a large increase or a decrease.
And
Yeah.
if I may, I'm gonna show you, we haven't even showed you this. I mean, there's so much detail that goes into this budget that isn't shown here because this is really just a high level, this is where we are without getting into the specific details, but we can provide this. There's many more of these documents that really break down all of these details by line item. So it's just, the intent tonight was just to really give you an overview of where we are and get into the more of the specifics later. But we definitely can provide you with the breakdown of the information. And then we can present it in a way that is easily understandable.
One of the commissioners' requests was for us to include actuals, and we have them to July. There's handouts over here.
I handed it out before
Oh,
the
you
meeting
did?
started.
Oh, did they get that? Okay, perfect. I need the big font version. I can't see. So you do have, but there's a lot more detail here that we're not showing you because it's a lot of information.
Ones.
And just to be clear also, Scott, I'm sorry to interrupt you, the budget book will be available within a couple of weeks. The
Yeah, oh yeah,
proposed
there'll be a lot more
budget book.
detail there.
Yeah.
But it really is just a way for us to say, listen, here's where we are, here's what we're proposing. We're happy to provide the detail that backs up all of this, but making sure that the board is okay with what we're proposing. The concept here is, as John mentioned, we're not increasing the water rate at all.
Yep.
But we are increasing fire protection and the customer service charge because the customer service charges have not been raised in
9
years.
This will be the 10th
So,
year.
and I've said this 1,000 times in our budget meetings, we're only collecting about 4% of our $120 million water budget. 4% of it's fire protection. Everyone else is in 10% range, 10, 12, 15% range. So we have increased our fire protection on the meter sizes to accommodate that. So we're trying to right size the budget so that fire protection is carrying its own weight. And so that's the concept of what we're asking you to look at. It's not so much the specifics of the numbers, but the concept of what we're proposing. And we will provide all the detail if the board likes the concept. Avalorum, 0% increase in Avalorum. How are we achieving that? John will get into the details. But specifically, we also have done studies and we have identified the fact that our service to our customers directly to our private property work, that's being done for the homeowner by the MDC, and why should the town be paying for that in Avalorum? We just gave free $10,000 laterals for every homeowner in the district, 90 some odd thousand customers. We're raising the customer service charge from $9 to $12.50 to help accommodate that program. So that's the big picture stuff we're looking for to say, do you agree with that concept? Are you okay with the concept? And then we can get into the really nitty-gritty details on the numbers and how we're coming up with these dollars. So if you can, and I appreciate your comments, but just if you could just bear with us and give us your attention to the concept of the budget, and then we can get into more details in the next meeting.
I wanted to echo that as well, because this is just the summary, the high-level stuff on it. We'll dive more in the detail in the upcoming meeting, and as we go through it with a fine-tooth comb on it. So with the next piece on it, contributions to other funds, this is just to say that the change is the $3 million of that, $3,291,498. There's a use of net position on this, and it's water contributions from other funds. Use of that is a transfer from sewer to water that was corrected in the 24 audit and proposed to be used in 26 for the budget. The next piece on page 13, the $2,216,933 use of debt premiums. You'll see on the expense side, the debt service went up on the water side as well as the sewer. So what we're doing to combat that is use of premium. With the increase in the water debt service expense, we use the water portion of the debt premium on this. Debt premium must be used for future debt service, and since it was generated in 2025, it's being set aside as revenue for the 26 budget. The next one, the Army Corps Engineers, we mentioned on the expense side. This is the piece that was on the revenue side for $800,000. And as mentioned in slide 11, the reconciliation should be finalized by the end of 2025. Last piece was internal service fund. MDC is no longer able to smooth out our contributions to other service, as the internal service fund's now at a healthy fund balance, that we've gotten it to a level that we've wanted it. Next slide. Slide 14. Sewer, the $7.4 million as mentioned. Here, in order to keep ad valorem the same, the budget's proposing sewer customer service charge increase to $12.5. The next part was sewer user charges, high flow, high strength in that. This increase is primarily due to the DEEP landfill late payment charge. That makes up the bulk of it. The next, for other governmental agencies, the $704,000. That's an increase in the sludge revenue. And the last piece was contributions to other funds. Just a change from the 25 budget to the 26, and it's going to be discussed in greater length on the next slide. Oh, you have a question?
Yeah, can I interrupt at this point? Unless I misread or misheard, there was in the calendar of events regarding the budget.
Okay.
There were notations for upcoming, rather quickly, representatives from the municipalities. Okay. Now, I'm guessing that they're not ready to get something as detailed as this. Usually, it's been the case, to my memory, that we would give them, you drop a stone in the water, and you got the big circle, and eventually you got the little one. This is the little one right away. And I think that led to some confusion just around the table right now. But usually we give the towns the big circle, the outer summary. It's this, this is why our budget went up or down or stayed or whatever. It's for this use of the money or this or that. And they understand that. And as do we. But then we sit down and dig in deeper in certain areas. But I think we're already digging in, and it's like, this could be a long night just to get through all of what has been done. And I'm not, again, I hope it doesn't sound like a criticism of the staff for doing this. I mean, you got to do this to get to where you have to be. I understand. But this, at this moment in time, this depth of detail, I think, is well beyond anybody who's gotten this just tonight, which is what happened. So I don't know how we want to proceed, Mr. Chairman. Maybe you can, Chairman Curry, maybe you can give a sense of where we want to be or go.
If I may, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
you can.
Yeah,
too. Yes,
so remember, this is a snapshot in time. It's the first meeting that we have.
Yeah.
We're trying to be consistent with what we've done between this meeting and the town meeting. And lots can change. And the board can make decisions that they don't agree with the concept. The only thing we're asking, or the only thing we're trying to present tonight is the concept of what the budget foundation looks like this coming year. And the drivers, it's a good point. The point is the numbers don't match up because we're really picking out.
Not there yet.
We're picking and choosing the important stuff that really is, the main reason why the revenues or the expenses are up, rather than going through line by line. But if Board of Finance can simply just look at it in terms of, we're just trying to present the concept of what the budget and how it's going to be presented. We don't want to surprise the board or the towns to say, we're planning to raise, we can't, using the customer service charge as an example, the sewer side, we have justification with a study that we're not charging enough on the sewer side. Never mind the customer service charge. Never mind the free sewer lateral we've given to every customer. And to not have that conversation tonight, if the board says we don't like that idea, well then we got to raise ad valorem, and we need to know that now. We're not asking for a resolution, but we need to vet this tonight, tomorrow, the next meetings, because it changes everything. The foundation of the structure of what the budget looks like is really built into this presentation, and I just want you to take it in that sense. Nothing's in stone here. We're simply saying this is what we think is a fair and good budget, and there's lots to be discussed between now and December 31st. That's all.
Sure. Yeah. Yes, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Scott, for those comments, because I think that actually helps me to better understand what we're here doing tonight, and not just say, this is just step one of the many more to go, but I think just for all of us, I think, for myself speaking, that this document helps, as long as, this is part of the PowerPoint, but I think hearing what you said now changes my mindset of what we're here doing tonight. We're not just trying to prove it tonight. We're not trying to, I'm trying to get a concept from all of us, but I think it helps to know that that's what you're wanting from us. So we're not.
And just remember.
One second.
Yep.
If we're not looking just for you're looking for direction, not so much for approval tonight as any sort of guidance from us. Is that
correct? Yeah, we're not looking for any approvals. We're just trying to express to you, we start our budget process at the MDC in June. We're working with staff halfway through the year. We're starting to work. Sharice is working with all the departments, and by September, we're trying to understand the internal issues with departments and staffing and electricity and all those things, So that's what this represents. But this document, which is published, this is the number of meetings that we have for budget. You know, there's 15 of them. This is just the first one. So we got a lot more to talk about, and we appreciate your concerns. And that's the challenge that we have. We're trying to be as transparent as possible to give you everything we have and what we know to date. And then that creates, yeah, but where's these numbers? They don't match. And I get that. But if we don't have this conceptual conversation today, I don't want to wait until November to have this conversation, right? We need to understand that in order to do this, in order to have a 0% increase in ad valorem, or in order to have a 0% increase in water, you have to look at these other things. And that's what we're proposing. But we can change whatever the board so chooses. This is our first stab at it.
Thank you for that. And I want to also just thank you to the staff for being here and going through this with us. I think it's helpful to myself, but also I'm sure others as well.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're trying to condense everything into just a high-level thing. The budget book is a massive document, and here we are trying to just give a giant overview on it, just to share with you, be as transparent as we possibly can, to say here are all the different venues and options we took into account in order to work with ad valorem and the water rates to maintain them and make them as affordable as they are for the water customers. So, on to the next one. The sewer fund balance on this, it would be a use of 4.4 and then set aside 1 million for the sewer ad valorem tax levy stabilization fund. With that, in accordance to the December 4th, 23 district-wide meeting establishing this as part of the district's annual budget process. This is for the purpose of reducing future ad valorem payments. So just wanted to share that in. That came into the proposal for this. The next one with the hydro, I'm sorry, we're on page 15. For the hydro fund balance, this is...
Mr. Chair, could I interrupt for
Please,
just a
yes,
second?
you may.
Sure.
On that slide, and if we're talking the same thing, you're calling tax levy stabilization fund?
Mm-hmm.
The rate stabilization fund.
Yeah.
That was approved by the board.
Well, that was my question, because I'm unfamiliar with that fund.
Yeah, right. It's the rate stabilization fund that the board approved. What was the date?
23, December of 23.
December 23. So that is, I think we use the word levy, but it's the rate stabilization fund.
That's the name of it in the resolution. And that was for future, you wanted to create, or the board wanted to create a fund to set aside additional monies in case of a future need to utilize those funds.
Thank you.
In case the rate was such that the ad valorem needed support. And just to add to what Jonathan said, that sewer fund balance of 4.48 million, that is the fund balance policy where at the end of 2024 and the audit year, we had a 5.48 I want to say surplus of the fund balance policy. It was over 35%. It was actually, if I remember correctly, 41.8% of fund balance. And so typically, or it's required of us to use that 5.48 million going down to at least 35%, use it towards the sewer budget in some way to support our sewer ad valorem. And in this case, we're taking, instead of the entire 5.48 million of that fund balance, we were suggesting or proposing or recommending 4.48 million of that, with 1 million set aside for a future in that fund that you, as the board, created in 2023, in case you wanted to save that for another time when we have more difficulty getting to a lower ad valorem. But with that comes the requirement to add some other charges, like the sewer customer service charge, which is being increased from $9 a month to $12.50 in our recommended budget.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yep, Jonathan.
Okay.
Yep.
So then, I mentioned the hydro one, we're doing a 3-year smoothing with that. That's the 730.
And I'm sorry, but I'm just gonna remind everybody on the hydro, so we presented at the Water Bureau, that we are proposing, the life cycle cost analysis for the hydro system at Goodwin has served its useful life. We have the penalty issues that we're worried and concerned about with, the new ISO rules. And so we are proposing to exit the ISO FERC agreement for 2028. And so the monies remaining in the hydro account is 4 million?
2 point.
2 point, sorry, 2 point.
The
So the goal will be, and we need a lot more conversation about this with Water Bureau and the full board, but the plan and the goal is that we are confident that the penalties that we might incur between now and 2028 with our consultant, that it will not exceed any more than $130,000 a year. If the worst case, so we're confident that that remaining $2 million in change is available for us to utilize the way we've been using it forever, which is to help lower ad valorem by statute, by the charter. And so, but there will be, we are moving towards the elimination of the Goodwin hydro facility as it exists today because of penalties and the lack of revenue and the investment necessary to improve it. So we will be bringing that back to the Water Bureau again and to full board when we get more details, okay?
So, yep, the internal service fund, we can only use a small amount of that because we're at a healthy fund balance with it. And the last piece was debt service debt premiums of $2,124,690. Since the sewer debt expense is rising, we wanted to offset it with debt premium. Step 3 with the allocation to the ad valorem and the water sales. This slide is a detailed version of slide 5. We're now on slide 16, which was the ad valorem water rate overview. This is showing no increase to the sewer ad valorem. And then the water sales are increasing 1.5%. And the last piece was the $241.3 million proposed budget showing the 6.4% increase. So what we take is the last column. If you look at the 0.0% is the top one with the sewer ad valorem showing it's staying at 53.1 million. It's highlighted in yellow with red font. And then the water sales, that's increasing slightly from 96.9 to 98.3 for the 1.5. And then the last part was to show the OpEx budget increasing from 226.7 million to 241.3 million at 6.4%. And this is in line with last year's budget increase of 6.2%.
So on page 17.
Sure.
That's really where the budget is clearly understood.
Yes.
No increase proposal. There's no proposed increase to the water rate, no proposed increase to ad valorem, et cetera. And so that's really what we should be looking at, if I can maybe overstep my bounds. That's what we should be looking at tonight, just this page.
Yes.
Because it gives everything, and the others, the other information just tends to fog up the landscape. So if we just look at page 17, if there's a question on that page, I think it sort of answers some of the others where the answers will come out.
Yeah.
So I would just stop right there.
Commissioner, I would just offer, so although there's no Avalarm increase, right?
Today.
And there's no, we're proposing no Avalarm increase to the towns. We're proposing no water rate increase. There are increases that is shown on the next page, which is important because there is going to be increases on the water bill to customers. The town will not see an increase, but the water customer will. And so even though there's no water rate increase, there are customer service charge increases. There is an increase of 30 cents per CCF for the clean water surcharge, and that's dictated by the Clean Water Act and the consent order. We have that chart that we show every year, and that hasn't changed. It's predicted to be up 30 cents this year, and it will be. So there is an increase to the water rate payer, and that's shown on page 18. And that's where you say, you could say, okay, the customer service charge on the sewer side, we have a study from our consultant that says we should actually be charging upwards of $20 per month for the sewer. We're only at 9. And we haven't raised that in almost 9 years. So there is an option. You could say if you don't want to raise that rate and you want to keep it at 9 and not at $12.50, well, then there's other options, but the most likely it includes increase in ad valorem. And the reason why we don't propose to increase ad valorem is because there's a legitimate reason why we should raise it by $12 to $12.50. Raising ad valorem is not really fair to the towns when we have justification why the customer service charge should be higher, especially with the fact that we've provided a whole new program approved by the board, approved by EPA, approved by DEEP, which is to provide a free sewer lateral up to $10,000 for everybody in the district. So if you look at cost of service, you really shouldn't be charging the towns for something that's benefiting the private property owner. And so, but if the board so chose and said, listen, we don't want to raise the customer service charge, well, the only other option is to really raise ad valorem, right? There's really, you don't have much flexibility there unless you can bring in more revenue. So that's an important slide that we have in the next slide.
So with this one, we just wanted to show it to the board so they understood the bigger highlights. We just wanted to simplify it. This is more the simplified version of what you've seen. So, as Scott had summarized on it. So. The next one, slide 18, is the supplemental information, the average customer water bill on this. This way you can see it shows the water charge staying at $3.91, which is in the highlights, first in the gray and then in the yellow. And then the Clean Water Project charge proposed increase of 30 cents from $4.57 to $4.87. Then the next part is the water customer service charge increasing 75 cents from $14.98 to $15.73. This is for member and non-member municipalities. So, do that. Okay. Then the next one was the sewer customer service charge increasing $3.50 from $9 to $12.50 for member municipalities. And then in the end on this is the annual residential impact on an average basis would be around $6.75 a month or $81 a year increase to the member town. You'll see that in the bottom or the top right final columns, the 675 and then the highlighted 81. And then the last part, annual residential impact on average for the non-member town side is $1.50 on a monthly basis and $18 on a yearly basis. And that's in the bottom right highlighted.
So if I may,
Please, Commissioner Gale.
just so I'm clear about this. So our member towns between your two service charges, we're paying a little over $28 a month. And the non-member towns are paying a little over $31 a month. Is that accurate?
Correct.
So a non-member town pays slightly more in a customer service charge, but pays zero for the Clean Water Act.
Because they're not served with sewer. They don't have sewer. So they don't have our sewer system, they have their own.
They have their own sewer system. So our $101, but we're not paying sewer either, our town is.
Well, but our water customers pay the clean water surcharge. So the towns are not paying for the clean water project, the water customer is. So, so the board voted back in 2006 or 8, whatever it was, that the charge for the clean water surcharge would be paid for not by Avalorum or through Avalorum, but by the water customers, and partly because of debt service, right? So our restriction on debt service limits, and that's why we use revenue bonds for the clean water project integrated plan versus geo bonds. So
too much information.
Yeah, got it.
I'm just looking for.
With you.
I'm just thinking in terms of equity at some point.
Yes.
It would be interesting to me to know, between the ad valorem that my town is paying and what I'm paying for clean water, how that compares to what a non-member town is paying.
Right.
Non-member town individual, what their town is paying, what they're paying for sewer. They get an annual sewer bill, presumably, for many of these towns. It would just be interesting to compare that versus a breakdown. And I know it would be different town by town because of the ad valorem in some towns. When you start dividing it up, it's a different number.
Right.
Have we done that exercise at some point?
I'm sure we
Version of
have.
it?
I'm sure we have. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Glastonbury, we give them the meter reads annually, right, Sharice? And they use the consumption, water consumption from us, our billing, and they use that to bill their customers. I don't know what the rate is that they use to charge their residents. I will tell you that, and my mom asked me to look at her water bill and sewer bill from Florida, and the sewer. Now they pay the, and a lot of towns, a lot of people do this. They pay the sewer based on the water consumption, right? Just like the Clean Water Project. But the customer service charge in North Fort Myers is $30 a month, and they're here and they're not using any water. So just the customer service charge, never mind their consumption, is $30 a month, and we're charging $9. So if you compare apples and apples, we're charging $9 and North Fort Myers is charging $30.
But we're also charging back through the property tax to each individual homeowner some portion of the sewer charge.
Correct.
They may not be doing.
They are. They're paying it through consumption.
I'm sorry I brought it up. It's for
okay.
another day.
Exactly. This is the very reason, Commissioner Gale, this is the very reason we talk about why does Portland not want to be a member town? That's it. That's why Glastonbury doesn't want to be a member town. That's it. That's the reason. East Granby doesn't want to be a member town because of that number. And to Chairman Curry's point, maybe there's a way to negotiate and say, well, if you have your own sewer system, like East Granby, like Glastonbury, like Portland, then maybe the board can made the decision to charge water and sewer customers for the clean water charge. You could easily say that you won't charge a non-member town if they have their own sewer system. I mean, that's a reality. You could do that.
We could. I would want to see a lot more information to know, to have a sense of equity.
Correct.
On the whole thing. But
The equity would be built into the lowering of ad valorem and water.
whatever.
So this is the punchline. This slide here is the
That is the
punchline.
that's right.
That's the punchline. Yeah, and remember, we have to remember, we have had in 4 years, 0% increase in ad valorem, 0% increase in the water rate, except for last year, we raised it 11 cents. But as of last year, our water rate was lower than it was in 2021 or 20, one of those dates. So we've had a real success in managing our expenses, not just increasing revenues, but managing expenses, which has allowed us to do what we've been doing. So I would say that, yes, there is an increase of 7% on the water side bill total, but I think we've done a great job in managing the quality and the expenses of the MDC.
And the final slide on this is exactly what Scott had just mentioned. For 24 to 25, it went up 11 cents, but before that, it had dropped from 22 to 23, from the 409 to the 380. So this is just a snapshot of the 25 MDC water rate, similar Connecticut water utilities, what they charge per CCF. And then to the right is the historic rates on the most similar water utility to the MDC, which is Regional Water Authority. So just wanted to say to the board, the CEO, the CAO, and the rest of my staff, they do an excellent job in keeping this rate affordable for the water customers. So thank you, Sharice. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
So
Great job.
thank you. I don't know how to turn it off. I'm sorry. That button. I'm just hitting buttons.
So I'm sure the towns are on the call tonight and they heard 0% increase, so they're probably not going to show up to tomorrow's meeting.
Most likely.
Peter, if you're on the call, you better show up. I got donuts for you.
Oh, boy. Okay. Brings us to item number 8. Excuse me. Yes, is that number 8? Okay.
Move approval.
Approval of item number 8. We have a
Second. There's no draft resolution
yet.
prepared, so
Okay.
somebody would need to propose some form of resolution.
What is it, number 8?
What do you want to do with that?
What's that one?
Audit.
Oh, the
The
RFP.
audit service.
Yeah, so we, as you know, the board passed a resolution, Chairman Curry passed a resolution. We had found, as you know, through the charter, that the appointing authority for the auditor is in fact the board, not Board of Finance, but the chairman delegated that authority to the Board of Finance, which is great. And so we are moving forward with the process of hiring an auditor. And we're happy to have a conversation. I know that in the past, you yourself, and I think Commissioner Salemi were part of a selection process. If Board of Finance so chose to assign commissioners or a commissioner to the selection process with Kelly and her staff, we'd be happy to accommodate that. It's completely up to the Board of Finance. You let us know, and if you want to, we just ask a resolution be passed.
Yeah, it would be my suggestion to leave it to Chairman Salemi.
Okay, that's fine.
To make that determination.
That's fine.
Unless somebody has.
He's on the WebEx, and I guess just one thing, the RFP is issued and is due, responses are due next
October
week,
1.
October 1st. And there is a statutory requirement to report to the state, the auditor, by December 1st. So the responses will be received and review will begin imminently, and the process will need to move forward.
We plan to have the evaluation started and completed by the end of October. So from October 2nd to the end of October to have that evaluation completed so that we can move it forward so that by December 1 we can have the appointment of the auditor completed by the reporting date.
And with that, by December 1st, we have to submit it to the state on it. We certify it, then the auditors certify that they are indeed our auditors, and then OPM will in turn certify it. So.
Okay, so we pass that on to Chairman Salemi.
We're
to
happy.
Make that decision.
Yes, we're happy to do whatever the board so chooses. We would just ask for a resolution, like there was a resolution passed in 2018 that appointed yourself Commissioner Salemi
Yep.
to the selection panel. So whatever is, we're happy to do.
You need that tonight?
No, but we could do it at the board meeting on the 6th. How-
It was delegated to finance. So
I know.
If finance wants to appoint commissioners to the selection committee, they
Should do it
want to
tonight.
have it at the discretion of Chairman Salemi. Somebody could make that motion, or the committee could make a suggestion or appoint individuals.
But, did you have your hand up, sir?
Chris?
No, I was scratching my head.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Sold.
There you go, right?
Just volunteered.
Commissioner Adel.
I'll make a motion that we resolve that Commissioner Salemi will appoint,
Whomever.
yourself and himself.
Whoever, that's fine.
Yeah.
We're happy to do it.
All right, all in favor?
Need a second.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Gale.
I'm not on the
Oh,
committee.
he can't.
Ah, you're not on the committee.
You're not on the committee?
No,
No, I just said he needed a second.
All these
Somebody second over there?
Yeah,
Second, they got a second.
yeah, second, we got a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Brings us to, thank you. It brings us to public comments. I don't know if there's anyone on the phone from the public yet, still. I see none here. We'll move on. Commissioner requests for future agenda items. Commissioner Gale, did you want to? Okay,
Not on the committee.
all right.
You don't have to talk to him.
All right then. I'll look for the magic motion. And
All right.
finance staff, thank you very much.
Great job.
Sorry about a little dust up there.
All right.